And now, the DPP Rally Talk Show with Claudia on the CAW360 Network. And here's your host, Claudia Merandi.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the DPP Rally Talk Show with Claudia. I am Claudia Merandi. I am the founder of the Don't Punish Pain Rally organization, and I will be your host tonight. As a reminder, we protest again on October 16. If you are new to the Don't Punish Pain Rally organization, or you're a new YouTube listener, two things. Please don't forget to subscribe to this talk show that you're listening to on YouTube. That would be great. And also feel free to visit us at don'tpunishpainrally.com. Tonight's guest, this is exciting for the pain community. I met Rich Helms on Twitter about 4 or 5 days ago. I got on the phone and I said, Rich, is this true? Are you running for Congress? Do you want to hear from pain patients? He said, yes, absolutely. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rich. Hi, Rich. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Claudia. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, people were so excited to hear. Wow, we've got somebody that's interested in hearing about the plight of the pain patient. Now, Rich, you are a Republican. You're from Texas. You're in District 33. And let's start from the beginning because we want to break it down. So you're running for Congress. Why?
Well, that's a very good question. The main reason that I'm running for Congress is that I've looked around and seen a lot of issues that I think that there are some common sense solutions for that are affecting people in my district, that are affecting people everywhere. And we have politicians right now that seem to be more concerned with political rhetoric and what have you than actually helping people. And that's, they clearly have kind of lost sight of what their job is. And, I want to run to be a voice for all of my constituents and for all Americans to make sure that they can get, their lives are improved and fix some of the big problems that we see in healthcare and the economy. And obviously our economy is doing a lot better than it was, but, there's obviously other areas that can be, improved upon. We obviously want to continue that growth, but really I got to a point where I couldn't sit idly by and see people suffer and, see, issues with public housing in my district that definitely need to be addressed, and a lot of other problems that I feel like I can help get solutions accomplished and really make an impact for people and for the next generation. I always believe you should leave the world better than you came into it. And, right now, I don't know if I could say the world's better than when I came into it, so I'd like to fix that.
How did you learn about the plight of the pain patient?
So I'm actually fairly new to, what's going on with the pain community. And somebody actually reached out to me on Twitter and just said, hey, Rich, please check out the pain patient vote. And I started doing some looking and just really opened my eyes to the amount of suffering that people are going through. And it's something I was not at all aware of before. But, as you mentioned, I have been asking people to kind of reach out, tell me their stories, whether they're my constituent or not. I just want to know what's going on and what they're dealing with. And it has been heart-wrenching what they've had to put up with and deal with. And, nobody should have to live their life in pain, especially when there's a way to fix it. And so it kind of, lit a fire in my heart to help. And, I'm still, there's obviously a lot going on. So I'm still trying to process all the information and hear from more and more people but, something definitely needs to be done to fix it and to make lives for pain patients better. They shouldn't be punished because you've got a disease that gives you chronic pain. That's not something that anybody has any control of or anything anybody ever wanted, and they shouldn't be forced to suffer because of it.
Sure. And when you're a congressperson or a senator, right now the trend, obviously, we refer to it as the opioid hysteria gravy train. And while we all acknowledge there is an illicit fentanyl heroin overdosing crisis, we want people with addictions to be treated for their illness. And we want people with cancer, with Crohn's disease, with Chiari malformation, Ehlers-Danlos. Hopefully you'll never know these diseases or the names, but all people should be able to receive care. And right now, the trend, I say trend because when you're advocating for a long time, you get burnt out. Everybody's so focused on opioid crisis. People have forgotten about, I call it we've been left homeless in the medical community. Rich, these people they've been attacked. So first off, you can't find a doctor to prescribe. And if you do, you probably can't get your script filled. And if you're able to get your script filled, you're probably going to have to jump through hoops to get the insurance carrier to fix it. And all of this stems from the CDC guidelines that were implemented. And you and we had a discussion earlier about this week. And I'm not sure how you would be able to tackle this. I'm not sure how anybody would be able to tackle this other than on policy. You think it's going to, you're going to be going up against the tide, once you start to mention this, but there's about 30 to 40 million people that suffer with pain. And you have 750,000 people in your district. And I'm willing to bet there's a whole lot of people in that district that are suffering with chronic pain. How would you tackle this?
Well, that's definitely I would say the topic of the hour. It's complex. I think we've got to tackle it on a couple fronts. Obviously we have to tackle the stigma and the bias that I'm sure you're very familiar with in the media. Where people don't want to talk about it, and gets kind of pushed behind, and got some people that are really rattling the cages over the opioid hysteria and overdoses. And yes, that is a problem. The illicit drug issue is a legitimate problem, but I feel like it's a different problem than, pain patients, and that these shouldn't be lumped together. So obviously we have to bring more awareness. Like I said, I wasn't aware of this as a problem. And I think I'm not alone, for people that just, if you don't have somebody that's suffering from this, you more than likely you don't know. And so getting the message out to people and letting them know that, hey, these people are suffering and can't get any help and can't, get what they need. And the doctors that do want to help them get punished for it. And the other ones are too scared to do it because they don't want to be punished. So I think, that's part of it. Obviously, dealing with the bureaucracy and things like that, and the CDC and the FDA is a whole nother issue. But plan to work closely with the executive branch to address that, and make some changes, some policy changes, some legal changes to make sure that pain patients especially have some rights to protect them from being harassed or being attacked by governmental agencies just because of the unfortunate circumstances that they have a disease that causes them constant pain. And so I think it's kind of a twofold issue. We've got to change people's viewpoint on it, because a lot of people, just when they hear opioids, they think, oh, drugs are bad, when really there's a big difference between illicit drugs and medicine that help people. Doctor prescribed medicine. And so I think that we've got to do that, and also address the stigma, because there's a stigma in the medical community. They hear about when ATF or whoever it is that DC, whoever it is that DEA that takes down a pain clinic, and like, man, they lost their license or that, and I'm sure that there are some out there that they're doing stuff they shouldn't be, but it scares a lot of doctors, and so they don't want to risk their career that they've worked hard for and all the schooling and everything that they went through. They don't want to put that at risk. And so I think addressing the stigma in the pain community and also helping them to, include more education about pain and dealing with chronic pain patients, in medical school, in residency programs, more fellowships. I mean, it ties into, a lot of what I'm running on to fix healthcare. Part of it is we have to improve access to care, and the only way to do that is to put more doctors into the medical field. The United States government used to fund residency programs until the mid-'70s, and it was put on hiatus because of a budget crunch, and it was just never enacted. So we haven't funded any new residencies since the '70s. And obviously our population has grown, and we need more doctors.
We need more, we need more pain management centers, but doctors are retiring younger than they've ever retired before. There's so much bureaucracy. Just to extract a tooth, the amount of paperwork that a doctor has to go through. It's healthcare reform is definitely, a huge issue. We have a fractured healthcare system. Annie on YouTube asks, I haven't heard any politicians running for president speak about the opioid crisis. Rich, why do you think that is? We did a poll, 7 out of 10 people, when they hear the word opioid crisis, they change the channel. People have grown tired of hearing about the opioid crisis. Why do you think the new people that are like yourself aren't discussing it?
I think you're definitely right that it's a lot of people feel kind of burnt out about it. That you've been hearing about it and hearing about it and hearing about it to a point where, there's almost creates a level of cognitive dissonance for people that, you hear about something so much and you just like, okay, I get it, and not saying that that's right or wrong. It's just what typically happens for people. And so I think that, like I said before, a lot of people, they're not aware of the other side of this issue, and I think the more people we can make aware that this isn't just a one-sided issue, will definitely bring more eyes to it and more people. I mean, because I truly do believe that people are at their core, they're good. Yes, there are bad people out there, but I don't think anybody's going to argue with me when I say that, look, people shouldn't have to suffer needlessly. I don't think that there are too many people that are going to argue me on that fact. And so I think just bringing more attention to it, and I don't know why the candidates running aren't talking about it.
Oh, I think it is. I think people have definitely burnt out on the 2 words opioid crisis. It's like the weather. We get it. It's hot. When you hear it over and over and over, you're like, we understand. It's hot today. Enough. I know I've certainly burnt out on those 2 terms. We're going to take in a caller, and I want to mention Rich's incumbent is Mark Veazey, and he's been in Congress for 6 years. And I don't know much about Mark, but we'll discuss that in a little bit, or maybe we won't discuss Mark at all. Let's take in caller with area code 949. Hi, caller.
Hi, Claudia. This is Belinda Cartier.
Hi. Welcome to the
show. Hi. Thank you. Hi, Congressman Mr. Helms.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited when I found out the show tonight. I really need your help if I could, please. I am a single person by myself in the state of Ohio, and my mother just recently passed. I need a massive spinal deformity correction surgery from my C-spine all the way down to my very last disc at the SI. So it's going to be, I'm scared to death just for the surgery itself. However, I have about a year of hard recovery.
What's your question? What's your question for Rich?
Well, what my question is that, I was trying to explain what I'm looking at, and that, my daughter lives in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
There is the Baylor Spinal University out there, and I'm confident that I could find a great surgeon, but I'm scared to do this because of this crisis that we're in, to where people that, I wanted to take that minute to explain, how, this is just going to be, I can't even find a word for what I've got to
So
go
it's
through,
going to be, I'm going to, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be hell on earth. Rich, the problem is when you go in to have surgeries, you're left to suffer post-op. And if you're a person that takes daily pain medication, you get pushed to the back of the line. So for this lady that's calling right now, you put off surgeries. And now everybody's putting off their surgery because post-op PTSD is very real in this community, but now it's very real for all communities. As a congressperson, how do you think you could address something like that, the post-op pain?
Well, I think it goes to, and I appreciate you calling and sharing your story and what you're going through. I think a lot of it is we've got to remove, we've got to get government out of healthcare. I think that, I always look at government as, you should function as a little bit like a gardener, where you do a little bit of pruning here and there. You don't overwater it. You let entities function as long as it's functioning well. You step in if you have to. And I think that we've had so much government involvement, especially in the last decade with healthcare, that that created even more red tape and more bureaucracy. And I've spoken to a number of doctors over the years and healthcare executives that have said we have to go through so much red tape, so many issues to help our patients. And I think that that's one of the big things that can be addressed. That I can use my influence as a congressman, not just in passing legislation, but also helping to remove some of the needless legislation and the needless policies and things like that are causing kind of this backup. Obviously, people that they don't want to risk their careers and things like that, and bringing attention to it is one thing, but we've also got to remove some of the needless. I'm not saying all regulations are bad, but sure. I do think that healthcare is probably one of the most regulated, if not the most regulated industries in our country. And, it can flourish again and be better if we can just remove some of those regulations.
Yeah. And I think if we, if somebody's, running for, I know if I was running for Congress, I would say, you're not a bad person if you need medication. I'm not a bad person for needing Remicade. I'm not a bad person for using methotrexate. I'm not a bad person if I have to rely, if I'm dependent on opioids. We have a lot of callers stacking up. We've got caller 918. Hi, caller.
Hello.
Hi, caller.
This is Randall Carter.
Hi, Randall.
Hi, Claudia. I have a question for the congressman. State medical boards use fixed caps and limits following CDC guidelines, and such regulations ignore FDA prescribing literature for opioids. Would you support changes which force medical boards to use calculations such as body weight or body mass in the prescribing dosages?
So, Rich, just to give you a background, Randy is a retired nurse anesthetist, and he is our research guru. So that it may be a little. I know it's a lot because you're just learning about this. Did you understand the question?
Yes, and kind of what I was saying earlier about adjusting some of the CDC guidelines to take the FDA prescribing literature into a much more account. I mean, a lot of times with government agencies, you have bureaucrats that don't know, that aren't, a nurse anesthetist or not a, anesthesiologist. They don't know really much about other than, some probably brief that they get about it. And they use that to set policy and set standards. And I think that's a problem. I think that we can we can certainly do a lot better in that area and just really, address things on a much better, more individual basis. They're obviously, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5" and 260 pounds. So, I mean, if I needed pain medicine, I'm going to need a lot more than somebody, that's 100 pounds less than me. So,
Rich,
obviously that needs to be taken into consideration.
I just had a thought. If you don't want to run for Congress, you could probably play basketball somewhere.
I get that a lot. The problem is that I'm not coordinated enough to be a guard, and at 6'5", I'm a guard, not a center.
Okay, so we have an anonymous caller. Hi, caller.
Hello, just a quick thing here. The only reason I'm able to function enough these days to contribute that, whatever my capacity is, even though, having some physical disability, is because of having been prescribed safe and effective extended release synthetic opioids for long enough, strong enough. We're talking several years of slowly rising dosages until now I could almost forget some mornings to take the little pill. This opioid pain management has healed a lot of my brain function that was previously lost due to just, 1 year of poorly controlled chronic pain. So it's a really essential part of my health care. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And I know the caller that just called in, and he's just an amazing, amazing person, Rich. There's this medication, right, that's been FDA approved, and this is our AIDS epidemic, Rich, because in the 80s, the FDA held back medication, and here we are, the government is holding back medication. Trump actually ordered a reduction in the manufacturing of the medication. We've got the next caller, area code 540. Hi, caller.
Hi, this is Dr. Linda Cheek. Hi, Mr. Helms. I am a graduate of. Hi, I'm good. I'm a graduate of UT Health Science Center in San Antonio. I was attacked. I am a victim of prosecutorial misconduct, which is rampant in the attacks on doctors. One of the things you mentioned earlier is, yes, there are some bad actors out there, but the problem is the Justice Department doesn't care about if you're a bad actor. The Justice Department's going after money and going after minorities, cleansing, so to speak, the doctor population. And I think I have a website called Doctors of Courage, which I would love for you to visit sometime. But what we need the Congress to do is we need Congress. There's several things that hopefully a new person such as yourself going in, you haven't been contaminated by the politics of the arena. But the CSA is being used illegally against doctors. It really doesn't matter what the CDC says about how many prescriptions or what should be prescribed numerically. If doctors are attacked illegally actually, by the DOJ, then no one is safe. And they're just going to keep, and what they're doing is they're going after money. They're going after doctors that actually are making a living, believe it or not, because of the 1984 forfeiture law that Reagan got in that allows it. Now, the problem with the DOJ is that they do this illegally in spite of Supreme Court decisions. I don't quite understand that. And that, to me, we are a three-system government. We are executive, legislative, and judicial. The legislative is a branch that should be following up on this illegality, and they're not. They're not living up to their obligation of making sure that our country is running in a legal manner. Because if the judicial system does not follow Supreme Court decisions and it just falls by the wayside, like the Supreme Court has said, that asset forfeiture can't be done to the point that a person is a pauper and can't defend himself, which is what they're doing to doctors. So, these are the kinds of things that a new person such as yourself would hopefully go in and clean up. We basically need to clean up the bad acting that's going on and the people being paid off. And I know that's a big job. But is that something that you would foresee as being, a good guy, so to speak?
I thank you for that, and I will definitely be checking out your website. And I think that there like I mentioned earlier, that healthcare, there are a lot of things that are wrong with it, and a lot of ways that government agencies interact with healthcare that need to be addressed. I do not think that doctors that are doing what's right for their patients and not abusing the system, that they should in no way be punished. And I think that that's something that can also be addressed in some legislation to protect doctors, or at least give a more reasonable recourse if something were to happen, because mistakes can be made. And so there needs to be, and I'm not saying that anything in particular is a mistake. I'm just saying that if something were to happen, that there should be a reasonable recourse for physicians to take, to defend themselves, because it's, what you're talking about is what scares a lot of, other doctors who would normally, be open to helping pain patients, because they get so worried that, hey, that's going to happen to me. I lose everything if I try to get involved or handle pain medication for these patients. And I think it also kind of goes back to that stigma that a lot of people have in their mind, that, and a lot of it is media bias, that they were pushing the, doctors just, giving out pills like candy. And sure, there's probably, a few out there, but they're few and far between. I mean, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of doctors in my life, and the vast majority of them just genuinely want to do what's right for the patients. And so I think part of it is getting...
Rich, I'm going to sneak in here really quickly because callers are backing up. The media that they sensationalize, and this doctor prescribed 580,000 pills. Linda Cheek, by the way, visit her at Doctors of Courage if you're listening. Linda Cheek she was in prison, Rich. I mean, here she is. She's a doctor. She was treating her patients. Not only does the DOJ get you, but they destroy you. And the only thing the only thing that's left of a doctor are skeletal remains. It is sick. It is disgusting, vile behavior. The doctor's stories, they come in daily. Before it was monthly. Next caller, area code 503.
Hey guys, this is Amanda CB calling. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hi Amanda, thanks for calling.
How's it going?
Hey, so I know Rich and I have been talking the last few days. Rich is running for Congress out of Texas, and I'm doing the same out in Oregon's 1st District. I'm running up against Susan Bonamici. And I know Rich and I have talked endlessly the last few days about patient protections and creating legislation to ensure this patient protection. So Rich, I would really love it if you cover some of the stuff that we talked about.
Oh, and by the way, I've been trying to reach out to you. Hi, Rich, how do you respond?
Well, yeah, some of the things that we've been talking about, are, putting more rights for patients and for doctors to protect them, for doctors that are doing the right thing for those patients and giving them the medicines that they need, and helping doctors to not only, be protected and to know that, that they're not going to get, crucified, for lack of a better word, although that might be appropriate, or for caring for their patients and having, some things in place for them to appeal, if something like that is going on, or if somebody gets, bad medical, it's getting bad medical care, that they have a way to appeal it and address that. And I think, a lot of those things definitely feed into the overall, problem with healthcare that we've got right now. And I think that not just putting in any legislation, but putting in the right legislation that's going to, make sure that patients and doctors are protected, but also not, end up with a bunch of people panic thinking that, we're trying to restart the opioid epidemic, which is why I think we've got to fight the stigma that people have on it. So I think, getting good legislation in there and removing restrictions on the healthcare industry, letting doctors be doctors and care for. I mean, they take a Hippocratic oath for a reason, to do no harm. And so I think that we need to take that into account.
What a shame. Can you imagine if a doctor could go to work and say, I'm going to be a doctor today? I'm going to give my patient what they need and not have to worry about being raped by the Department of Justice or being held at gunpoint while I'm eating my turkey sandwich. But this happens all day, every day in our country. We've got caller 815. Hi, caller.
Hi, Claudia and Rich. This is Mary Ballerin. I was listening while I was feeding the dogs, a previous convo, and you spoke about post-op. I'm old enough to remember when they came up with the PCA pumps, and they said that people recovered faster and got home sooner with continuous and proper pain management. Now with nothing, I just can't wrap my head around
and that's
how we can justify it.
That's it. It's post-op hell. And, Rich, it's so important for representatives to get legislation sponsored. In Rhode Island, it took me, my gosh, I started off with a resolution, which is pretty much useless. And it took 2 years. I kept my representative with me on my social media journey. And that poor guy got probably 10,000 emails over 2 years, but we finally got it done, and we finally have legislation that passed the House. Somebody, we have a lot of callers backing up here. Somebody wants to know, have you had a chance to speak with Senator Cruz?
I have not had a chance to speak with Senator Cruz yet. I will hopefully be doing that as the campaign moves further along, but I definitely plan on speaking with him on a number of things, and this is certainly something I want to address with him.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to take in April Grove. Caller 559 is April. Hi, April.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So we love April. April is my hero. Rich, I met April on social media. I saw her, she made a video. April, explain to us your life. What have you been diagnosed with? And tell us about the pain medication debacle.
Okay, so I have been living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer for 5 years now. It'll be 5 years next month. And the last few years, I have been taking pain medication just to deal with, the various pains that I have, because my cancer metastasized to my bones and my lungs. Basically my hip bones, my lower spine, it's just, infected with cancer. So it's just kind of eating away at my bones, and it's very, very painful. And, it also has some nerve issues affected as well that makes walking, sitting, standing, makes all of that really difficult. So I had, made the video in response to some treatments that I received at my local pharmacy that I had been a customer with for probably 10, 15 years, where basically the pharmacist made me feel like I was a criminal. And he came at me, very questioning and aggressively, in response to me just trying to get a prescription filled of my pain medication. I have debilitating pain, and it was really, it was really discriminatory, but it was really embarrassing, and it was really just shocking to me. So my video was a response to that, basically I keep saying my ugly cry face made the rounds on the internet. So.
And there's nothing ugly about April. Rich, when you see April's video, I was driving when I saw it, and I almost got killed because I said, oh my God. I said, this can't be true. And I was so hoping it wasn't true. So I messaged her. I said, are you the lady that was on the video? She said, I am. I said, oh my Christ. I said, are you kidding me? Rich, stage 4 terminal. It doesn't get worse. And April is not only
right.
She's a warrior. She's got a beautiful 8-year-old little boy, if I'm not mistaken. She's in California. She holds down a beautiful job, and she goes into her pharmacy and she's treated, not even, you know what, if you were an addict, you would get treated with common decency. No more. Days.
There was nothing, there was nothing decent about it. And I mean, I have, I work in a very professional environment. I'm a single mother. This is a smaller town. The pharmacist, was familiar with me. I've been in cancer treatment for 5 years. All of my medications were coming from my oncologist. It wasn't a secret that I was, fighting cancer. So it just was really,
it certainly shouldn't have been a secret to your pharmacist.
Right.
These pharmacists, these chains, April, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your story. Rich, as a congressperson, you need to say, look, if you're a CEO of CVS and one of your pharmacists does that, you will be held accountable. You will be sanctioned. You will be fined. You will be reprimanded. And you know what I think? I just had a brainstorm. For each pill that is denied, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, Walmart, whatever, they should be fined $50,000 a pill, because that's the only way people respond is with money. Money. We're going to take an area code 225. Hi, caller.
Hi, this is Dr. Feldman. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Feldman.
Listen, I won't take much of your time, but Congressman, first of all, thank you so much for coming on Claudia's show. Number two, I have been in this field for over 30 years, and what we're looking for, forgive me for I can't speak for everybody, but I think what we're looking for is to somebody to say, we or I recognize that there's a problem, and first of all, once we recognize there's a problem, then we can do something about fixing it. And if you did that, you have 30 million voters if you were running in a national election. We all feel abandoned. People are suffering. We can tell you these anecdotal stories all day long, but I believe what this group wants is somebody to say, I know there's a problem. I know there's a difference between legitimate sufferers and addiction. Both of them need our attention. Both of them need treatment, but it's not the same disease. And once that has happened, then we can move forward. And I personally will volunteer to come to you, and I will educate you if you give me an hour. And so you will be the leading expert within the Congress on this subject. I will volunteer for that.
Yeah, and
I would very much welcome. I would very much welcome that. I'll give you all the time you need.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Feldman. Yeah, Dr. Feldman, highly trained physician, anesthesiologist, pioneer in pain management, and they ravaged him. They ate him alive, and they're holding his license hostage for what? $490,000. I'm going to take caller 517.
Great, thank you all.
Hello?
Hi, call. Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, my name's Brian, and my dad's a Korean War vet. He's in the hospital right now. My doctor had me balanced in 2012, and then the CDC come in, and I end up in bed and can't even go visit my dad because of the med changes. My doctor had me. I had no doctor for 20 years. I kept working hurt nationally, and to get you on a balance, you're on a health kit, and all of a sudden you're not allowed to mix a benzo with a pain med, which actually balanced me.
That's right. That's right.
My health kit. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you. You broke up on me. Rich, that's another problem. Veterans.
Yeah.
They have to choose between their benzodiazepine or their pain medication. But Rich, with chronic illness, anxiety is part of the prize. So,
Certainly.
So of course anxiety comes along with a gunshot wound or cancer or Crohn's
Right.
disease. It's multifaceted, but these lunatics that the lunatics at the CDC, these psychopaths, and Rich, to be honest with you, you're going to get a lot of education on this show tonight. We refer to this as medical manslaughter, because when you deprive a person of their anti-anxiety medication, you have seizures. It's the quickest way to die. Plus, with alcohol withdrawals, benzo withdrawals are so severe. It's just so cruel. It's so unusual. We have April back with us again. Hi, April 559.
Hi. Sorry, I got disconnected somehow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was my fault. My apologies, April. Any last words for Rich?
No, I think just being aware that this whole problem seems to be like a legislative issue, not, it's not the doctors. And then to some extent, I think the pharmacists are just so afraid of, what ramifications or something that they could be faced. And that's why, we're seeing so much pushback on the patient level. But really, it shouldn't be something that's affecting the patients. It should be something that should be corrected at the legislative level.
Absolutely.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that the atmosphere that we have right now is such that doctors, pharmacies, hospitals, they're so afraid of what's going to happen to them that the repercussions, that they're not. They're afraid to put the patient's needs first. They're afraid that, this person needs this because of, what's going on and it's the right thing for them. But, how am I going to be able to explain that to, a bureaucrat that comes in and wants to destroy my life? And so I think that, like Dr. Feldman said, that bringing awareness to it and that saying, look, this is a problem. It is a separate problem, from the overdose and the addicts problem that we have in our country, which is its own problem and needs to be, addressed. But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. We can't, lump them all together and say, okay, everybody that takes opioids is an addict, and that's not true. I mean, if you have a physician that's monitoring it and making sure that you're being properly cared for and medicated, that is completely different than somebody that's just taking pills. And we need to make sure that people understand that and that the public understands that and help them to see that, look, people that are suffering from this are everyday Americans, and they've been forgotten. And I hope that I'm not alone. If I am, then so be it. I'll be even louder if I need to be. You can ask anybody that knows me. I can be pretty loud if and when called upon. So, but I don't think I will be. I think that there will be plenty more people running for office and politicians in office when they're made aware of what's going on, that they'll want to help and they'll want to address it.
Oh yeah, Rich, I predicted this 3 years ago. In about 2 years, we're going to see all the rich white senators, as I refer to them, on the Hill shaking their fist at the sky saying, how did this happen? And I speak with my morons in Rhode Island because I'm a retired court reporter. So I worked with my senators. And you know what? We get the same response over and over. Our concerns lie with the opioid crisis. And when I first started visiting with my senator's office, they would say, oh my gosh, you're the first person that's mentioned this to us. The senators at Wakes every week for people that have overdosed. I said, overdosed on illicit fentanyl. And it took me 360 days to get a PSA about illicit fentanyl. They don't want to put a PSA out there about illicit fentanyl because it detracts from the false narrative. It takes away from the money. We're going to take in another caller because I have a few more questions for you. Area code 317. Hi, caller.
Hello.
Hi, caller.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Because in light of the recent release of the DEA database and the law that the two senators are wanting to enact,
oh yeah,
you have a lot of chronic pain patients that are scrambling to figure out what's going on. I mean, you have the new team task force that took over. The CDC steps down, and now the DEA is going fast and furious to arrest doctors and raid pain management and so forth. And then now this new law. So, can you still hear me? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Hello? Okay. Do you have me now?
Yeah, what's your question for Rich?
Okay, so it's making some people wonder if there isn't another agenda in place by the government and the DEA. If there's something maybe a little more sinister behind this.
Maybe. What do you think, Rich? You think there's an agenda? Keep the illicit fentanyl coming in so people continuously die?
Well, I don't know if I can really speak to anyone's agenda. I do know that a big part of the problem with the illicit fentanyl is that it comes through our borders. Especially it affects Texas a lot. A lot of it comes through our southern border. And part of getting that closed down, it allows us to catch a lot more and stop a lot more of that illicit fentanyl coming in. Which is a big problem. I try not to speak for anybody or whether or not that there's something more sinister there. I also, nothing surprises me anymore, but I definitely think that, we need to address that problem, that they're not the same. And a lot of people end up linking them together that, illicit fentanyl and doctor prescribed pain management medicines are the same, and they're not at all the same. And, I know that there's, I don't want to say corrupt politicians, but there are corrupt politicians out there, that take money from, different special interest groups. And if, somebody that pays them money says, hey, this is what we want done, then they do that. And that's, part of what needs to be done in cleaning up the swamp that is in D.C. and has been for a number of years. And I know that, that's something that the president ran on and will continue to run on, has been working to clear out a lot of the corrupt bureaucrats and corrupt politicians that are there, not putting the people first. And that's a big part of why I want to go to Washington, is help get rid of the people that are only there to enrich themselves and, put more people there that are there to help the people. I look at my election campaign is not, you're switching one politician for another. I look at it as, we're returning the power to the people, putting this House seat back in the hands of the voters, the constituents, the everyday Americans. Because if we continue to put, corrupt career politicians in office, they're going to keep doing what they've been doing. And I think we can all agree that, a lot of that has not been good. A lot of times they've got involved when they shouldn't have, and other times they didn't get involved when they should have. And so, that's a big part of why I'm running is to help clean that up and get some of the corrupt politicians out of office.
So, Rich, how can people support you? When are you going to announce your candidacy? Is that the correct term? I never said that before, so maybe it's not.
So my formal announcement will be coming in the next few months here. Right now, you certainly can follow me on Twitter at Helms 2020, and you can follow what I'm talking about as far as policy. We'll definitely be announcing everything there, as well as other places when the site formally launches in a little bit here. But just keep your eyes on the election front. I'm hoping to make enough noise in general that as I got some of that attention on me, I can bring more eyes to this problem. And let other candidates know that this is a real problem. And if we can get enough attention and maybe get it addressed before I get to office, that would be great. I would like to not have you wait, until 2021 for me to get in there and fix it. If we can get something done sooner, but
right.
If need be, then as soon as I'm there, I'll be working to get this fixed. But yeah, so definitely follow me on Twitter, and we'll be launching everything in the next little bit here to really let everybody know my platform and why I'm running and how I can help my constituents and help Americans all across the country. Because I've said several times about this issue that it's not a bipartisan issue. We had Amanda Colton earlier. We're definitely on different sides of the aisle, but it's not about partisan politics. It is about doing what's right for people and for patients that are suffering. And I don't think there's many people out there that would argue that you should do the right thing for people that are suffering. But if they are, then, hopefully they won't be in office for very long.
That seems to be the only bipartisan issue that people agree on. Punish people with pain. Make them suffer. Let's stop manufacturing opioids. It's the constant, and every time, I'll go on my phone in the morning and I'll say, brace yourself, Claudia, what's going to be on your Google feed today? What's the hype going to be about? Walk me through the process. So, Rich, you announced your candidacy, and then you're going to have a fundraiser, a page where people can donate. Is that how this works?
Yeah. We'll certainly be working to raise raise funds and raise awareness. I currently trying to talk to as many of my constituents as I can, and people in a number of different industries. Just gathering information about what's really the heart of the problems that I'm aware of that we're working to fix. I've got one person that's challenging me in the primary, but not too worried about him. Mainly focused on the incumbent and just running a good, clean, honest race and just making it about the issues. I'm sure I'll probably get attacked personally and stuff that's normally pretty common in political races, but my goal is just to be focused on the issues and helping people. Once I know the primary is in March, first start of March, and then after that I'll be full steam ahead, explaining to my constituents why I am the better choice and how I can help them improve their lives, and whether it's pay patients that are suffering or people that are languishing in public housing that's dilapidated and people have stolen funds and things like that, so the job hasn't been done properly. I mean, there are a lot of things that need to be addressed. And so,
sure.
that will be the process. I'll be, speaking to as many people and as many venues as I can. I really appreciate you having me on your show tonight, and really appreciate everybody that called in to share their story, share what they're going on for them. Keep doing it. Do not let this silence you. You're going to keep being told, don't speak up, don't say anything, no one's going to listen. You got me that's listening, and I guarantee you that there are more like me out there that once they're made aware of this, they will see that it needs to be addressed. It's a humanitarian crisis at this point. And so I commend you all for your bravery, and just keep it going. Don't be quiet. Just
and
do the First Amendment right.
And that Human Rights Watch did do an investigation, but it was a very long report. Somebody wants to know, what district are you running in? I believe it's District 33, correct?
Yes, District 33. So that's Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington area, and a lot of the other smaller cities that kind of fit into that overall metroplex.
Somebody's asking, how can Merandi's bill help us? So I had a bill sponsored. It had the name attached to it at the time was Claudia's bill. And I said earlier, I took my representative with me on my journey. And my bill specifically says people with chronic intractable pain need to be excluded from the guidelines, and a pharmacist must fill a script. The bill passed the House, and then once we hit the Senate, there were problems, and I was there alone. But a lot of people, I encourage everybody, get a copy of HR 5434, bring it to your representative, because as Rich alluded to, people don't know about this issue. And Rich, that's why I made a commercial, and we could only afford to run it 44 times on Fox Business, which cost to run a 15-second spot on Fox Business costs, let me think now, $22,000. I mean, $14,000. What a bargain. And we don't know how else to get the word out. And we started, when I created the organization, we had 5 members. We have thousands and thousands. We've exceeded I think we're at 10,300 just on social media. Any suggestions, Rich? How else can we get the word out? I say educate.
I think that certainly. I think that getting the word out, like we said, is a huge part of it. I think social media is a great way to do that. And understand that it won't probably be the first time you tweet or you post or something like that, but the 50th time, the 100th time, whatever it takes, but just to get people attention to that. And how someone first brought it to me is that it was a thread about something completely different, and they just commented on there, and I saw the comment and reached out to her for some more information about it, and just kind of went from there. So I mean, you'd be surprised if you do that, and especially if anybody's putting out something on social media, somebody in the government about healthcare, use that as an opportunity. Put a comment on there, about what's going on, and just the more of that there is, the more awareness is going to be. Because someone might see, oh, there's one comment. Okay, well, 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 1 million people, or 30 million people are suffering from this. That's a much bigger issue, and once they're kind of made aware of that, then the problem can be addressed.
Yeah, that's how, believe it or not, that's how Frontline found us, was on a tweet. And Rich, I remember the days where I would be knocking on doors, begging reporters to cover the story. And, we rally every 3 months. We put out a press release. We've given everybody tools to do things and to organize.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, that media comes in like clockwork, 3 days out from the rally. So, I like to keep the pain community encouraged, because we have come so far. And there's, I'm just the face that people see, but there's these phenomenal advocates, doctors, researchers working behind the scenes. I put my face on this because A, I have a big mouth. B, I wanted the world to see what a person with chronic pain, Crohn's disease, looks like, and what pain medication, how it can make your life better. And I think that's definitely, it's getting the word out. It's educate. And I tell everybody, every person you meet in your lifetime, you must educate them, because everybody I can only promise a few things, death and taxes, but I can promise everybody on planet will get old, will get sick, will get injured. Rich, I'm going to wrap up here. Rich, thanks so much for joining us. Everybody, don't forget to follow Rich Helms, District 33, which is a Republican. He's got 750,000 voters in his district. So be sure to follow him on Twitter. He's 30 years old, young guy, 2 kids. This is how it happens. This is how we bring in the young. And I was talking with Rich. I was watching this special on Netflix earlier about, I don't even want to say her name. I don't want to get attacked because I don't follow politics, but you get these rich white senators and making these insane draconian laws, and they just get fat on the dollar. It's so refreshing to see Rich. And Amanda, if you're still listening, love to have you on. We want to bring in everybody that's running for Congress, running for a local seat. Get on the phone with your representative tomorrow. Say, look, this is what's happening to me. And then you get on the phone with the Department of Health and you get a copy of HR 5434. You bring it to your representative. You may have to do all the work for them in case you have a lazy representative. Here's the rundown for CAW360 Conspiracies Against Wellness this week. Tuesday, 8 p.m., we have the Doctor's Corner with Dr. Klein and Janelle. And Tuesday's topic is who takes OPM? And he's going to have guests on with addiction and intractable pain. And then Wednesday, 8 p.m., keeping you in the family with Dr. Margaret Aranda. I spoke with Margaret. She's a lovely lady, very, very determined lady. I'll tell you, California, you're in luck because you've got Dr. Aranda. And the topic is pain medication. As a reminder, we will be taking a hiatus with all CAW360 networks for the rest of the summer. And we'll be back again. I'll be back again to see you. I spoke with Dr. Lynn Webster's, his assistant, so Dr. Webster will be joining us, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of some really great people joining us on DPP Rally Talk Show with Claudia. Don't forget to subscribe, and please remember, hang in there. You stay strong, and remember, I get my strength from your strength. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for the DPP Rally Talk Show. Subscribe to our channel at DPP Rally Talk Show with Claudia on YouTube. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.